Tamika. Thank you guys so much for joining us for yet another episode of Tuesday with Tamika, where y'all already know what it is. We believe in lifting as we climb, turning our trials into treasures, living a life to inspire and not impress, opening up and allowing God to fully restore us, and loving as if we've never been hurt. These last couple of weeks, I've been diving deep into my digital marketing company, my coaching and consulting company, and there has been this theme that has been coming up that God is going to send us destiny helpers. And I believe that we're in a season where we don't have to do it all by ourselves. There are people that already have skill sets that we need to help us run this proverbial race of excellence in our business and in our life. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story of Moses when he was um, presenting his basically like his gift and his ministry before God, and he was holding up um, the tablets, and his arms began to get weak. And God sent Aaron and her to sit to hold up both sides of his arms to help him to propel him in the work that God had for him. I believe that today's guest is going to be somebody's Aaron and somebody's her. She is going to help them hold up the arms of their businesses and help it to run in a more efficient way. I can't wait to jump into this episode because I love all things efficiency and excellence. And I believe today's guest has both of those. So without further ado, hey sis, you have a minute?
Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute?
I sure do. And
Hey,
I absolutely love the introduction. Oh my goodness.
thank you, Avery. I am so excited to have you on the podcast. Tell the TWT a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So, a little bit about myself. The long story short is people come to me when they want to eliminate the boring, tedious tasks that no one wants to do so they can do more of what they love. So, I enjoy helping individuals and business owners with their lead generation automation and creating efficient systems so they can free up their time.
Well, listen, we I can tell that we're already in alignment because I use the word efficient and you use the word efficient. So that lets me know that we are on the right track. So I know that in business there are so many like behind the scenes things. People watch me on like my social media channels, and they always think like, Tamika, how do you do it all? What they do not know is all the back end that goes on to make things run smoothly. It's kind of like a car, right? We jump in our car and we go, but there's so many moving parts. When you say lead generations, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that's one of the huge moving parts in business to help business flow. Tell us a little bit more about like what are examples of lead generation.
Yes, and we utilize it every day when we are shopping our favorite stores. So, of course, the most common is getting a discount for your first purchase. But if you are a service based provider, that could look like a quiz, that could look like having an audio file, which is very underutilized. It could look like having an ebook, which is one of the most common, or even a webinar. And even if you have an in person event, that is a form of lead generation because you're collecting their emails. So, when you have their emails, you can provide direct access to your audience. You can tailor messaging straight to them as opposed to just relying on social media, which you never know what's going to happen next or when the next blackout date will happen. So I always
Mm.
teach my clients to convert from social media into your own list that you can own and continue to nurture your audience.
That's so good. You know, you mentioned the audio file, and you are 100% right. Like that is so unutilized. Recently, as I'm like really ramping up my digital marketing side of my business, I will jump in people's DMs and I'll leave an audio file, and I'm learning that those convert so much better. Why do you think that it's underutilized? But then why do you think like what's the psychology of why people are like they opt into things when there is an audio file?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I feel like it's underutilized because not a lot of people come up with the idea, oh, let me create an audio file for my opt-in. But if you think about your audience, maybe they're busy on the go and they don't have time to read an ebook. Or perhaps like they would love to do something while they're working out or driving in the car and be able to still take away some tips. So I feel like it is underutilized because number one, not a lot of people talk about it. You might see again the more common forms of a webinar or an ebook, but it really can help convert because to your second point, hearing someone directly builds a relationship. They're like, oh, there is actually a person behind the brand that I can cling to, that I can recognize. So it builds that relationship.
That's really good. And I am, as soon as we get off, I'm creating my audio file, okay? um, One of the things that my mentor and my coaches have been talking about is know, like, and trust, right? KLT. So that audio file builds that know, like, and trust. And so do just having those opt-ins. And then another like thing that you help your clients create are those email series. People do not realize, like you said, at any moment, these people that are running social media can snatch Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of these things, right? But our email list, we own that. How do we build like that know, like, and trust through a simple email?
Very good question. So there is a statistic that it takes at least 5 touches before someone converts. Now, of course, it could depend on a series of factors, but if they're completely new, it's on average about 5 touches. So with each email, you want to be sure to build that trust by giving value, by giving quick wins, by showing that you are positioned to do exactly what you say you can do, and also show that social proof through testimonials, through demonstrations, through and I always have a ranking of testimonies. So if it's first it's video, then screenshots, and then just text if you don't have anything else, but really focusing on building the trust through other stories of you as well.
That's good. Last month I celebrated my husband, and we went on like a hot air balloon ride for his birthday. And I was like, I have to use this. We spend so much time like taking pictures,
Mhm.
and we don't realize, like, we just think it's for the gram, right? So we're posting it on the gram, but I said I'm going to take these pictures and I'm going to put them in an email. I got the biggest open rate. I got the biggest response because I just, posted some pictures of me and my husband hosting or toasting on a hot air balloon, and so many people then followed me on social media and they said things like, "Oh my God, your email was fire!" This and I'm like, dang, is it really that easy? But I think it goes back to that know, like, and trust. People are like, oh wow, she's bringing us into her life. Now I feel like I know her and I can trust her. Do you agree with that?
Most definitely. And this is a funny story actually because of it's similar to yours. So, I post tips on my Instagram all the time, but the more recent post when I attended WWE of me sitting front in the first like few rows, that got more views than my my tips and tricks. I was like, how did that happen? But I've noticed that people do actually want to see the lifestyle version of you. Not to say that the tips aren't important, but again, want to see the person behind the brand and get to know who they really are. So I definitely agree that it's a good mix of having lifestyle with the tips and to show that you are actually a real person, not always just work, work, work.
Yeah, that's good, Avery. So I know that it sounds like you have a service heart, like to get into this field. This is something that you're like, okay, I want to see other people like excel, and you want to lift people as you're continuing to climb. Tell us the little backstory of what got you into this field of helping others in this way.
Yeah, I that's a really good question. So I actually have done something that gives back in for my whole life. So I was in Girl Scouts, I volunteered as a child, I did AmeriCorps for a little bit, and each experience I've always just wanted to give back in some way. Sometimes I overgive, but I know how to put a handle on it when I need to. But I do have a sense of passion to help others. And that's actually why I started what's now Black Women Moguls, because I saw the statistics of Black women owned businesses only earning on average 24,000 compared to 100,000 plus compared to other ethnicities. And so that's really why I wanted to start something specific to Black women. And of course, I attracted Black women to my business all the time. And even
Mhm.
though it is expanding to other demographics now, because men were like, well, what about us? I'm like, yes, I still work with you. However, my first passion is to make sure that we as Black women create sustainable businesses.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful and needed. It is so needed for us to see one another and continue to help each other grow. Why do you think this is like we veering off a little bit off course, but why is it that black women, I mean, I know like historically and statistically, black women, we hold the highest degrees, we are the hardest working, but yet and still there is still a gap in the amount of money that we make. And especially when it comes to business owners, although new statistics say that we are the fastest growing business owners, we're
Mhm.
still earning less. Why is that?
Mhm. That is an excellent point. We are the fastest, yet still are under we don't make as much as others. And I will say I'm glad that it's slightly increasing, but it's not by too much. So hopefully we can accelerate this. But I would say it's not due to lack of intelligence because we are very smart. To me, it's connecting the dots and getting access to resources, getting access to other types of knowledge that can enhance our business. And then also just making sure we have a solid foundation. And I wasn't, you always hear about like it takes 5 years to create a sustainable business. That rang true for my business. So last year, even though I've been a business owner in various capacities, but sticking to one business specifically, last year was the first year that I really saw, okay, this is a sustainable brand that I can see carrying on. However, it probably would have happened a lot sooner had I had certain foundations in place, had I had certain of my packages that I wanted to offer, being sure of what I could offer. So those are some of the things that I see hinder Black women-owned businesses and also imposter syndrome. I would have to say that as
Mm.
well because we see other people go after all of these opportunities and they're not qualified yet. We feel like we have to chase the degrees, chase the certifications when we're probably already qualified. And it's not to say don't get that, but you don't have to wait until you have all of the certifications and credentials behind your name to get started.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. I've been talking to my membership about all of the experience, just like you were talking about the Girl Scouts and AmeriCorps, like all of these things that we've already done. We don't realize that's what qualifies us. That's what
Mhm,
makes us valuable in to the marketplace. I was reading a book in my book club where we read, I think this is the second or third time we read Atomic Habits. And he talks about you don't rise we don't rise or fail to our knowledge or something like that. I'm misquoting it, but he says that we rise and fall to our systems. And I
mhm,
believe that that's what you help put people in place, those systems. And that's that foundation. That's what
mhm.
helps people really grow in business, grow in you know, anything, love, their relationship with God, you have to have a solid foundation. So I would love for you to share with the TWT family more about the systems that you help folks put in place and also how they can get in contact with you. So this year we can get to that bag, baby. We can, really do the big one this year. Tell us how we can get in contact with you.
Yes, definitely. This is the year of securing the bag for sure.
Yeah.
So, to your question, so what I do is I work with individuals to set up their lead generation automation. So it starts with building that opt-in. So whatever that looks like, the ebook, the course, the audio files, help them to produce it. And I take it off their plate so they can focus on what they actually need to in their business by creating the opt-in, by writing the emails for them, setting the emails up for them, and teaching them how to maintain it. And on the other
Mm,
side of it, to also free up their time and energy, creating systems such as turning manual processes into automations. So that could look like automating your onboarding process or automating some administrative tasks that you want to take off your plate, especially if you're juggling multiple hats. So you can find me at Black Women Moguls on Facebook and Instagram, and then also www.blackwomenmoguls.com. And I also give tips. So even if you're not ready to work with someone just yet, I give tips and free webinars all the time that a lot of people say this has helped me to get started. So I'm happy to share the wealth of information.
Hey, 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 are you ready for an amazing business opportunity? Are you ready to break generational curses and build the wealth that you have prayed for? Well, listen, with Digital Boss Academy, we have hundreds of ebooks, planners, and templates that you can use and get personal resale rights. Yes, you heard that right. You can literally sell the products that are already done for you in your own digital store. Yes, every single one. Digital Boss Academy has products that lead to profit. It is your time to create legacy. It is your time to do it while inspiring others to do the same. Become the curse breaker you've been praying about. Click the link in the show notes to start your journey today. I love that. We will make sure that we have all of Avery's information in the show notes for you to go over and just consume her content, but also book a consultation with her. See if this may be the step that you need to really up level your business and get to the place that you need to get. Avery, thank you so much for spending this Tuesday with me and with the TWT family. I want to ask you to leave the lady. This has just been on my heart as we're talking. Some women are so afraid to invest. We'll invest in the bag, we'll invest in the shoes. We have no problem with going to the hair salon and spending a big bag on our hair, but sometimes women are afraid to invest in their vision and in their business. I would love for you to end our podcast with just something inspiring of why is now the time for women to really invest in themselves.
Very good question. So, as a business coach, I always say every coach needs a coach. Even your favorite coaches also have coaches. And so, without my foundational coaches, I had 2. I would not be on the trajectory, well, maybe I would be, but it would be a little bit slower on the trajectory that I'm on, and so they helped me to accelerate my learning, to connect the gaps, and even though I don't have a coach necessarily right now, and I guess I've been in a lot of programs, so I have coaches off and on. I have also found a tribe that keeps me in check, holds me accountable, so it's important to find ways to invest in yourself. And I remember with my first coach, to this day, I don't know how I paid out of pocket for that because I was like counting pennies trying to pay this coach, but it was so worth it to help with my mindset, to help me see that this is
Yes.
actually something that could be successful. So we will find a way as women of the things that we actually want to do.
Yes, absolutely. TWT family, now is the time. Like, this is our Esther year for such a time as this. So make sure that you're not only investing in the outward stuff, but you're investing in mind, body, and spirit. And your spirit are the things that God has put in us to help other people. You have everything inside of you to grow. Sometimes we just need those Moseses and those Aarons and those hers to come up and hold up our arms. Avery or myself could definitely be those people for you. I am so excited about this podcast. I want you to run over to your business bestie, someone that you know needs to start a business or is actively running a business, and share this with them. Also, go on over to Apple Podcasts and rate us, leave us those 5 stars so more people can hear this information. Tag us on social media to let us know that you are listening. Until next week, have an amazing, amazing Tuesday. Bye bye.